the last thing I remember before I went somewhere else was struggling a lot, grasping for whatever I could, literally gasping for air. My lungs had filled up with a lot of fluid, and felt like I was drowning. And they were life-flighting me to a nearby hospital where they could handle this type of heart issue. And I remember my fiance, girlfriend at the time, she's now my fiance, grabbing my hand and telling me, here I am, pretty scared, and all this training has gone out the window, and I'm just like, okay, this is serious now. But I get to ride on a helicopter. And she says, stop struggling so much, just surrender. They told me, your heart's kaput, and your lungs are almost destroyed as well, and you've had a stroke, and so, can you see us? How many fingers, this kind of stuff. And, if you're lucky, you might get better and well enough to be eligible for a transplant in the future, so we'll see what happens. And so I knew, at that moment it was going to be different, and I wasn't the person I thought I was anymore. I was everything in my life has kind of been turned upside down, and I was, I was facing a choice how to react to that, and I thought, well, how much do I want to suffer here, right? This whole thing is about suffering, and I said, well, I'll try to suffer as little as possible. This is going to suck either way, so I'll try to minimize it. And so, I started out thinking, I'll try to practice of some kind. I don't have my zafu or my cushion, and, I can't really do my yoga, but I'll try to practice. And it was pretty miserable. This is useless. I couldn't really breathe anyway. Most of it was a ventilator-type response anyway. So anyway, the only thing I had at my disposal, there was this calendar, this Thich Nhat Hanh calendar I remember on the wall. And it was opened up to whatever month, maybe June or something, May. And it said, just this breath. And I looked at that and I thought, okay, yes, I know, but I can't breathe right now. How am I supposed to take a breath on my own, and this isn't working? It was sort of taunting me. I knew it fundamentally was true. It was sort of the Dharma part of the Refuge, right? You have the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha, and I thought, okay, these are the teachings, that it's enough just to be here and be present, and whatever you have, you focus on that, take your breath, that's it. But that just didn't seem relevant, didn't seem possible even then. I was miserable. So things are really bad, and I'm really miserable and feeling sorry for myself. I'm very incompetent, unable to really do anything for this woman I love so much. And she crawls into bed, and I'm trying to rub her shoulders and trying to massage her feet a little bit, like something I can try to possibly do. And at some point I remember she stops me, and she's just like, that's enough, that's okay. And she says, you're enough for me. You're enough. And I just those are powerful words to say to somebody else or to say to yourself. And I hadn't slept for I don't know how many days before that, and I didn't sleep again that night. I stayed up all night because something had really shifted in me. And I just stayed up all night looking at the rain come against the window and look at our picture on the table and think to myself, like, how blind I'd been, the refuge is not out there at all. It is not in here at all. It's out there in people, it's in a relationship, and it's not this esoteric concept about, non-self and impermanence and all these concepts that are hard to wrap your head around. It's in really tangible things right in front of you, and so I watched the clock tick by, and when the morning came and the storm had gone and the sun came out and it was beautiful again, I asked her to marry me. So now when I think of refuge, a true refuge for me, it's still those three things. It's Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, but my concept of them is very different. For me to remember them, I just put my hand on my chest and And that heart is, it's my Buddha. Because that young man who died, and I have his heart now, like that heart beat for him, and it beats for me just the same way. It doesn't discriminate. It just loves. It just it just does what it does because that's what it does. And that's the Buddha nature, right? And I don't know why or how it does it, but it just works. And here I am, living and breathing. And for me, Dharma is still Dharma, like those teachings, that damn saying on the poster, the calendar, just this breath, that pissed me off so much because I couldn't really get it, is still real, it's still true. Because even though I couldn't quite feel that at the time, that concept was still applicable, and it got me through this and decreased my suffering. And then Sangha, my gosh, I was flooded with it the entire year with friends and family, and all the love you can imagine pouring forth for you, and people fighting for my life when I wasn't even conscious, and coming together in their own Sanghas for my sake. It was unspeakable. So those three things are still real. They take a very different form from what I thought.